Hey guys, welcome back to What the Fat. This is one of the episodes I've been looking forward to for probably the longest time since I started this. It's one of the ones that I'm probably a little bit nervous about because, a lot of times you have amazing guests on, but this one's the best guest by far. And it's someone who knows me more probably than anyone else in the world. So there might be some stuff revealed about me that I'm not even sure about, that I'm a little worried about. But a lot of people know how much I care about my mom. And so by popular request, today I have on CMO, Chief Mom Officer, or you can call her Joan, but I like to call her Mom. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
She's super nervous about this. So for those of you that are listening, she's super nervous, but outside of any other time, she's talking. At Aspie, we call her Team Mom because she's mom to everyone. Vents to her. Everyone tells her what's going on, what the news. She's a talkative bug. So I figured, you know what? Let me get her on the podcast. We can talk and talk a little bit about just a lot of stuff. I just want to pick your brain. I want the world to know Mom the way I know Mom.
Are you sure about that?
I'm not sure about it.
Are you really sure about that?
I'm not sure. No, I am sure because there's a lot of good stuff that I think people will gain from these couple of days. So we'll start off easy because I know you're like, oh gosh, what's he going to ask me? I didn't tell her. I didn't prep her for this actually. So
no.
This should be interesting. So let's start off easy, and you can bash on me. So I think a lot of people are wondering about like me growing up, because you've seen me grow up from obviously since I was born, but
from birth. That's
from birth. So I know there's a lot of people always wonder were you always this positive? Were you a devil child, as some people like to call me? How was I growing up? Tell the world.
How you were you were special.
Oh gosh, that's an interesting.
Now you were just your typical. You ran around from the time you could walk. You were nonstop, but you didn't like people. You were just very by yourself. You would play anything. You would play any sport. You would join in with any group. But adult wise, you were just like,
Except for you and Dad.
Well, yeah. With us, it was totally different. Your aunt, she gets offended because she's like, he doesn't love me, and I'm like, no, he does. This is just how he is.
So when did I grow out of it? Because I'm very opposite of that now. I love everyone. So when did that kind of grow out? Was I just a devil child up until 10 years old?
Probably no. You know what? You when you went to school, you started behaving differently. Okay. You weren't very talkative. I used to always hear, he's such a pleasure to have in class. And that was because you just didn't talk and, you did your work and that was it. But I would say towards high school, you became more talkative, more outgoing. You would hang with everybody. You would do things like that. And the one thing that I have to say was great about you growing up, everybody, all your teachers, anybody who encountered you always used to say, it was a pleasure to have you because you never, even though you played sports your entire life, you never just stuck with that realm of, I have to be a jock mentality. Mm. You were you would veer off and you're like, hey, you know what? If this group over here, let me go, that was more towards high school when you started saying, nope, we can talk to everybody. We can do everything. I
love it. Now, those attributes, will you take credit for that, or do you think it was more Dad? She's like, he's going to watch this, so I have to be careful about what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah. Combo.
There's definitely, you have a definite combination. But I will talk to a wall. I will, I will talk to the animals. It is, everybody will say, who are you talking to? I don't need to talk to any one person. It's just anything. But I just don't like the attention, put on me, where I think you're overcoming that more, know?
So, and I think it is a great balance because you were more, I always ran to Mom, but Dad was always there to he comes from a background, for those of you that don't know, my dad was in the military, and then he was a police officer. We got to get him on the show one day. We'll get him on as well to tell some of his stories. But But he was more like the disciplined guy. Even though you did. I won't go into it. But you did discipline me.
Hey, if you pushed it too far, then I had to step in.
You did. But I think that taught me a lot. I think I learned very early on. And actually, I think I learned you guys were probably harder on Steven, my brother.
Yes, always the first child.
But I always learned.
You learned from the first. You did. You did learn from your brother because your brother could push the envelope.
He opened the envelope.
Yeah,
he didn't push it. He said, "Let me open this."
But, yep. And so you sat back and went, I don't know if I want to get in that kind of trouble. So, not that Steven's a bad kid. He's a very good kid.
I'll get him on the show as well. Yeah. His story is actually amazing as well. So, but what about food choices? Because I know a lot of people listening to this, like, obviously know I'm on like a low carb ketogenic diet now, which is very opposite to what I used to eat.
So for the first kindergarten through 5th grade, the only thing you would eat going to school, taking the lunch to school, was a bowl of cereal. Every day you took a bowl of cereal, and your big accomplishment was buying a different kind of milk.
Strawberry milk.
You would buy strawberry, but you would also buy chocolate if you were feeling a little edgy, you know. But you right straight through 5th grade, and then you were like, okay, maybe I'll do pizza on Friday, you know, and you started eating a little bit more, you know, outside.
Mainly chicken tenders.
Yeah, so that's all you would eat is chicken tenders. You did not like, you really didn't like food. That wasn't your, I should say, certain foods.
I was like, I used to crush some cookies.
I was just going to say, you used to eat cookies like there was no tomorrow, you know. But you were not, like, you did not like eggs, which is so funny. But you didn't like eggs almost all the way up to college.
It's true.
You know, there was a thing there with that. You just did not like them.
It was a texture thing.
It was.
It's kind of like avocados now.
You did never like mashed potatoes. You lived on pasta. You could eat pasta whether it was buttered or with salt, you know, and chicken fingers, chicken tenders, any kind of chicken. You ate more steak. Yeah. But it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm just going to eat this. No, that wasn't your thing.
What about, and then in high school, we always used to go to like Wendy's. Remember after practice all the time? Like it was like Wendy's, McDonald's. It didn't matter. It was fast food central. That's what I used to eat. But then
that was in high school.
That was in high school. We started changing the palate a little bit.
A little bit.
I remember having to go to the bathroom. You used to always get mad at me if I didn't go to the bathroom after lunch in middle school because I'd be the milk in there, and then if I didn't wash it out in the sink beforehand, it would smell horrible.
It was horrible
on the way in.
It was horrible.
So I remember those days. But how crazy? Well, actually, I'll leave that question for later. I'll leave that for later on because it's been a complete change, I guess, in my palate or kind of what I've eaten. But is there anything looking back now with me growing up that you would change if you could?
No, I don't think so.
You think you think you did all right?
Yeah. I think you did okay. No, I don't think, because that's how you had to learn. That's how you learned and explored and did. So, yeah, there's not really anything. I mean, I tried to get you to eat other food, but we ate the other food. You just never, and I'm not, I was a very pushy, eat this, eat all this, and dessert. We tried to do that. Eat this. Oh, you have to eat your whole dinner before you can have dessert, but it never really worked because you just went and had dessert anyways. I'm not,
That's a question I got to ask Dad because that's something that comes up a lot. So my dad, coming from like the military background and growing up, he was always like, you got to finish what's on your plate.
Yep.
And that's something that to me is still ingrained in my head, which is kind of like, it stinks now because I'm like, it tends to lead to overeating. But he was like, there's people that are starving. Like you got to eat everything on your plate. And I understand that perspective completely. And now it's like, if I go to a buffet, like I got to make sure I finish everything that's on my plate. Like I got to finish it all. But
so true.
But yeah, that's definitely an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Well, looking at it and kind of growing up, I want to jump into like the Italian side of things because obviously our Dad's more Irish, we're more Italian, or at least we think we do. Mo and Paul want to make sure that we get Grandpa on. So we got to get Grandpa on the podcast. That'll be a 3-hour episode
Oof.
of him talking about it. But we still don't know if he's from Italy or where he's from. But
no. Put him on the spot when he's here for Thanksgiving.
I will, on the podcast. We'll figure this out. We'll do some investigative journalism. And so growing up with Grandma, I want to talk a little bit about Grandma because everyone that knows me or has heard me talk knows Grandma was like the rock, I think, of our entire family.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about growing up in an Italian family with Grandma, and she used to cook all the time. Talk a little bit about what she used to make.
We didn't have fast food growing up. You name it, she would make it. She was big on feeding everyone. And we always used to laugh and say she cooked for Fort Monmouth, which was a military base by our house. That's how much food she always made. She always expected the unexpected to walk in the door. And 9 times out of 10 it did, somebody would show up for dinner because they always knew she was cooking. But her biggest, her thing was, the Sunday pasta meals, and, of course you had the bread. She would go to the Italian bakery. Oh, yeah. Oh. And, so she would, there was not anything she wouldn't attempt to make or make. She was not a baker. She was a cook.
Which is interesting because you're the opposite.
I am the opposite. I am. And that's what we used to, And I can cook to hold my own.
You do. You cook very well.
And that's only because I learned from her, and she never measured a thing.
That's where I get it from.
See, I guess so.
Grandma's rubbing off.
Yep, it just threw it in there, and you tasted it and went, oh, okay, that's good enough, or, oh, nope, you got to add a little bit more of that, But her big thing was making sauce from scratch. She literally would do the whole tomatoes in the grinder to grind out the seeds and then just let it sit there and cook slow and long, and pasta. And she used to even try and make pasta. She would try and make a homemade pasta. Things along that line.
How do you think, obviously, so you grew up with Aunt Dee, Aunt Lynn, Uncle Pat. Mm-hmm. How do you think growing up in that environment where Grandma was very family oriented, right?
Yeah.
So she was big on bringing the family together, at least from what I remember. Mm-hmm. She was Thanksgiving was always at her house. She was big on always bringing the family together. Always. How do you think that influenced you of raising us and I
think it was the same thing. We were always, it always was every holiday. You didn't think of where you had to go for the holidays. You were going, it was fortunate because, unfortunate for you kids because your other grandmother lived so far away. So it was convenient that we only lived an hour away. So we would spend the holidays with, my mother. But we were even now to this day, you have Thanksgiving, when you call Thanksgiving, your family from Jersey comes, when our tradition is going back there for Christmas, to have it, and so, it is, you do have that family orientedness.
Yeah. I think that still rubs off on her now. I think it rubbed off through you and Aunt Dee and Aunt Lynn and Uncle Pat. And then also I think it's rubbed off a lot on me because that's the way I am now with not only family, but friends and people, a big family atmosphere. I think she realized, I don't even think she realizes, or hopefully she does, how many people she's impacted with that kind of mentality.
I think so, because when she passed, that was a lot of, too, she kept all of her cousins together. And she kept she made sure once a year, maybe every other year, she had a huge family party where it was every cousin, if you even thought you were a cousin, you were coming, and that's how she kept everybody together. And unfortunately, when she passed, it kind of all, a couple of our cousins that are our age now, that we still stay in touch, but, otherwise it's...
Right. And that's one of the reasons why, I wanted to take over Thanksgiving, because I felt to us, that was, at least what I remember, that was, one of those monumental holidays that, brought the entire family together. So I was I need to figure out, because for years it was kind of, all over the place. But now I'm I wanted to be able to do that because it was a special one for her. And I know, it brings family together.
Yep.
So that's
start
important.
your tradition that way.
Can you tell people a little bit about it? I've talked about it. If people have heard me talk or give presentations, like I talk about it, about grandma passing. So how old was she when she did pass? I think it was 65.
Was it?
I think it was 65.
See, I'm horrible at this part of the game now.
I think it was, but whatever, it was too young.
It was.
It was far too young.
I think maybe she might have only been 61, to be honest with you.
Was it 61? Oh, you might be right. It's 61. So. You're right. It was 61. So still way too young.
Yeah.
And it kind of happened very unexpectedly.
Yes.
Right? Kind of just very quick transition from like, we were with her kind of not too long before that, and then she went in originally because her back. She
woke up Friday morning and she didn't feel good. She said her back hurt, and she's like, I don't feel right. And then as the day went on, she said, you know what? I think I might have to go to the hospital. So they called an ambulance to take her to the hospital, and I got down there. And my sisters were both there, and my brother and father. And when we got to the hospital, they said at first they thought she might have just had like a little bit of she had surgery on her back, so like a little bit of residual from that. Then they said, oh, wait a minute, we think they started treating her for a heart attack because her blood pressure had went so high that they thought she was having a heart attack. So they started treating her and giving her medication for a heart attack, when in reality, she had an infection in her back that was spreading through her system. So she went into the hospital on Friday, and she passed on Sunday.
Right.
So
they treated her for the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things, and that was, I remember that very vividly, and I talk about that a lot in presentations, because looking back of like what we're doing now, and like, actually I want to get your insight. Do you think where we're at now, like what I try and do to like help you or Andy, do you think I would have been able to help grandma, like if she like in the state that she was in, but like now my knowledge now, do you think that would have helped?
Would she have changed? Probably.
Because it was me.
Because it was you. Yeah. Well, yeah, because she lived for her, like, it was her kids at first, but then her grandkids. That was her greatest joy. So when she had that, if you were to tell her, hey, you know what, if you take this or if you do this,
like alternatives to
right,
pasta.
Right,
like
exactly. Then she probably would have tried. She would have gave it a shot,
I think she would have done well. She loved to cook.
I think that part probably would have been the best part, like recipes and stuff like that, and learning how, like that's probably my downfall, is the fact that
you don't like to cook as much anymore. You're burnt out.
Yeah.
You cooked a lot for me.
Yeah.
I gotta return the favor. Do you think grandma was overweight?
Yes.
Very overweight. Do you think that contributed to them not being able to save her or help her when she was in the hospital?
I'm sure it did, because they have been taking her down for a test to confirm that it was the infection in her back, and that's when she coded. So because they were actually in an elevator, a doctor had actually jumped on top of her and started doing CPR, and because I think, circumstances, whether it was because she was bigger or, just, I don't know, but yeah, you wonder, makes you wonder.
Right. And honestly, I think kind of like what we were talking about before with family, like I think her, like trying, like her purpose and what she's like it's, I hate to use the word, it's contagious throughout all of us. And I hope that people that are listening to this, or people that I talk to, or people that you talk, I know you being able to talk to a wall, like your positivity radiates from her. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about sharing the health, nutrition, exercise conversation, is because I remember how devastating of a time that was for our family. And I remember how much that sucked being in that situation of like, what the hell just happened? It kind of was like overnight, randomly happened. And I feel like if we were back in that situation, like, and I would be in the situation I am now, like, I feel like we could have done something. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know if there's anything that could have been done with the infection, but they talk about it in the autopsy. They talk about septicemia, but like they put obesity on there as one of the like causes, and she had a heart disease and stuff like that. So I just feel like I wish I would have been there and been here now. But like now, because of that, hopefully we're helping like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of more people not experience that. That's the goal. Right?
That's the goal.
Do you think she'd be happy seeing that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
The giving back part and everything else? Oh, yeah.
I love it. Well, I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about you now. We talked a little bit about me, and we talked a little bit about Grandma last time. But I want to talk about you because a lot of people, I know she hates when I do this. But if anyone's ever heard me talk, they know I talk about you, like Grandma, and they know I talk about my family a lot. And a lot of like you have been Dad's been an inspiration for everything he's done, and like you've been a huge inspiration for everything you've overcome. So I always say like Mom and Dad are my heroes. So I want to shed a little insight because you have an interesting perspective that I think rubbed off on me, even though you may not realize it, or you realize it or you don't like sharing about it. But one of the things I want to start with is Crohn's, because everyone that I know that listens to me or I've talked to them about you is like how much you've inspired me just battling Crohn's and still maintaining a positive outlook. So first, let's give everyone a little insight into like when you were first diagnosed with Crohn's.
When you were a year old.
Really? Mm-hmm. Holy smokes.
Yeah. You were a year old.
So what, tell us about how did you find out?
I thought I had the flu, but it wouldn't go away for a month. And finally your grandmother said, okay, you need to go get checked out. So I went to a doctor and gastroenterologist, and he performed tests and stuck a lot of tubes down my throat and other places and saw that my I had all these lesions and inflammation and everything else in my colon, and so what was the action items? What did they do after that? After they you were pumped me full of steroids.
And what was that like?
That's a rage right there.
What do you mean?
Like I got to the point, like, because that's the first thing they have to do is try and calm it down so you stop getting sick. But I got to the point where it's like you don't even like yourself, let alone like there was so many steroids in my system that it was like I couldn't even stand listening to other people breathe. That's how it was that hard. That's how much they were giving me, and that was the hardest part. Anytime I have to go back on, which not good, I haven't had to go back on. But yeah, anytime I have to go back on steroids, it was such a high dose that by the end of it, because they put you on and then they start weaning you off. Oof.
So it just makes you like angry, upset. You don't want to be around people. Does it help at all with the Crohn's?
Well, it calms the symptoms down.
Okay.
Like it makes it so that you can start eating again or start keeping fluids in your body. But yeah.
So what, that's interesting. When did you came off the steroid? Like when,
yeah.
And so there's been a period of, I don't know how long has it been since how long, like you went a long time without taking any medication at all.
Right.
How long was that?
Probably like 10 years.
And during that time you had flare-ups, you had like ups and downs.
Yeah.
But one of the things, and this is part of why you're my hero, is during that time, like I guess I didn't know that. So that was kind of new for me to learn here on the podcast. But like, I didn't know that it affected your mood or personality. So that's interesting because I didn't see that. You're very good at like hiding your feelings, even though I'd always ask or try and draw them out and talk to you about them, but you're very good at hiding them. So you were like very strong, even in the face of like animosity or like even in the face of a lot of challenges. Describe what a typical day, because I think people, I just talked about this and it's part of the reason why I get frustrated, because some people in the world say, oh, it's just calories, right? It's just calories that matter. It's calories in, calories out. And one of the things I immediately point back to, I was like, well, if that were the case for my mom, she'd be 50 pounds.
Exactly.
And same thing with my aunt. Like,
Mhm.
they'd be 50 pounds because they don't eat anything. So can you talk to us a little bit about, like, what you typically ate? Like, even when you had flare-ups or throughout that 10-year period, because your diet was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I would get up, have a cup of tea, and that would be pretty.
Without any sugar or anything in it? Or did you have sugar?
I did.
Okay.
I put like half a teaspoon of sugar.
Okay.
Probably in a mug a little bit bigger than this.
And you sip on it all day.
Yeah. At least till 12. But then I didn't, I even to this day, like one of the hardest things for me to do is to consume fluids. And I don't know why. You know, I mean, I don't think about it until I'm thirsty. And then I'm like, okay, now that's too late. And I know that. But I mean, so I would get up, have that, and I still do. I still get up and have a cup of tea without
the sugar.
Without sugar. I don't do normal sugar. I don't do the devil, what we like to refer to.
Very proud of you.
And then I don't have anything. I normally don't eat anything because I was working or whatever, you know, I never wanted to have that feeling of I had to go to the bathroom or, you know, so I would not eat until I came back home for dinner.
Which would be around like 4 or 5.
4 o'clock. And then I would have dinner, whatever I was cooking that night, you know, and I didn't.
A quarter of a normal portion.
Yeah, probably. And again, we didn't do a lot of salad back then. It wasn't like a main, you know, like throw in a salad. We had a vegetable, a meat, and a potato normally, you know. I mean, that was.
Yeah, so I'd say literally for probably 10, if not more, and still even to this day, you don't need a lot. But like you were probably, I calculated at one time based on what you had. Like the one day I calculated you had like crackers at when you were back working at the school.
Yeah.
The tea, which had a half teaspoon of sugar, and then what you ate at night, you were probably eating about 600 to 700 calories a day, and you were on your feet all day, doing stuff and moving. And so, if it's just a calories in, calories out equation, like you would have been consistently losing weight, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So that's why it frustrates me because I've seen it personally with you. It's an interesting situation because you're dealing with Crohn's, but it's not just as simple as calories in, calories out because you were moving, you were active. I guarantee you your daily energy expenditure was more than 600 calories per day and you weren't losing weight. And I watched you do it day after day after day. And so that's why I'm like, it's crazy to me that people just still think it's just a calories game. But it's been amazing to watch you like transform and kind of go into it. And so you changed. Well, actually, I want to talk a little bit about changing. You changed your diet.
I did.
And that was really when it really started when you moved down here.
I did.
We packed you up and moved you down here. And so can you tell people, a lot of people want to know like what it's like now. Like what was your diet? Like how did it change and what are you eating? Like is it you still wake up, you have the tea?
I have my tea. I have to have my tea.
You gotta have your tea. I know that.
But then I fast, and I usually get home about. Don't tell my boss, but about 2:30, and I'll have a little snack.
What's your snack? At 2:30, you have a snack?
Sometimes I do.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll have like a little bit of. Sometimes it's buffalo chicken dip. Or a couple pork rinds. And by a couple, I really just mean 2 or 3.
Yeah, literally. A couple for me is very different from a couple for you.
I'm just like 2 or 3 is fine. But then I have dinner, and I usually try, and I try to stay keto now with dinner. Sometimes I call it my version of modified keto because I might have to throw in a sweet potato fry every now and then.
Like 2 fries. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my, like, I love making, right now I'm on a kick. I don't know why, but it's the big omelet, the meat omelet with a little bit of cheese, some eggs. That part, I don't know why I'm on that.
You've always loved cheesy eggs.
I do. I don't know why.
Ever since I remember, you were always big in eggs.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So it's completely changed. And I think, how long have you been down here?
Almost 3 years.
And how has it been?
Oh, wait, no, it was just 2.
2 years.
Maybe? I don't remember.
2, 3 years.
Yeah.
How has your stomach been since?
Not good. Very good.
Very good. Right? And I don't think you've had a flare-up since you've been. Maybe one.
I think right in the beginning. Yeah, I think it was right in the beginning.
Stress related.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff, and we've even started. So we do, like, obviously you do intermittent fasting. You've always done that. Well, you kind of didn't because you were having sugar in your tea. That was kind of a conundrum. But now you do intermittent fasting. You exercise, which I'm super proud of.
Woohoo! 5 o'clock every morning.
5 o'clock every morning. You were the gym just closed. It didn't close. They're under renovations by you, and she refuses to work out at ASPI.
Yes,
I have no idea why. But so her apartment complex has a gym though, but they just closed for renovations. But you used to do weights like 2 to 3 times a week, right? And you walk like 10 to 15 minutes every morning, and you still do that now with Dad in the morning. You do that. I make sure you get your ketones daily.
Yep.
You usually put them in a water bottle and kind of get them throughout the entire day, which have a lot of anti-inflammatory properties themselves. What else do you do? You stop stressing.
I just stop stressing.
You stop stressing, which I think is a huge component of that entire equation. But one of the things that I'm super proud of and love seeing, and that's one of the main reasons why I want to do it, is like, it broke my heart to watch, like when we would travel or when we would do stuff, and I knew my appetite, and I was like, I'm starving, and I knew at some level, like, because you hide things, I knew you were hungry, but like wouldn't get anything because you knew, like, if I eat this, 30 minutes later we're gonna have to make a bathroom stop, and then we're gonna have to keep stopping until we get to the destination, and so that like broke my heart. But now it's been amazing watching how much you've like increased. Like yesterday we cooked up some sausages and stuff like that, and you ate the entire thing, and that's been amazing to watch me watch, like, just the quality of your life, I think, improve, just even from a nutritional standpoint. And I'm super proud of you for exercising. So, one of the other things I want to touch on. You
made me do it, just say.
No. One of the other things I want to touch on, because we're very open and transparent, and I've talked about this before on the show, but not only are you my hero because you've overcome some of these things personally, like with your stomach and stuff like that, but we've had hardships financially, and I think it's super powerful to learn from your parents, from your friends, from your mentors, and I've learned a ton from you and Dad, and watching you guys overcome some of the biggest obstacles personally and health-wise, but also financially, and then like now being in a position where like I'm so proud and happy to watch you guys thrive and do well and be like, you know what, we're living our lives. And I think now your quality of life has been better than I think ever before, except when we're on cruises. That's just the best quality of life. But I promise we'll go on another one soon. But one of the things, and a lot of people don't know this, is we filed for bankruptcy twice, and had a lot of challenges with that. A lot of it was during the time, what was it, 2008, when the Lehman Brothers, was that when Lehman Brothers went under? Yeah. My dad had a very good job in New York City, and Lehman Brothers went down during the whole I don't even know much about it, but it was a financial crisis. But it was amazing to watch you guys kind of power through that. And that, like, I know you guys don't see that now, but that's one of the biggest motivators for me, is like watching how you guys handled the situation and power through. Like, people don't know this, and I'm glad I'm talking about this now, is that I remember back, like, a lot of times I'll be thinking about, like, hey, it's late, or it's late at night, and I'm working on something. I'm like, damn, like I could be doing a million other things. But it's even something that carried throughout me in college, right? When everyone else on the baseball team didn't have a job, I was the only one on the team that did have a job. But a lot of that stemmed from, like, I remember back watching you, like, get up in the morning, go to crossing, straight from crossing, you went to school, go back to crossing, and then at night you would go and clean the school. Mm-hmm. And like me, I was like, holy smokes, like, you're working 3 jobs to make ends meet, to try and provide for Steven and I, and Dad was trying to find stuff along the way. And it was just like, that was super motivating, of like never having, like, being in a position where everything was given to us. You guys always showed us like what true hard work ethic was. So what was your mindset kind of like throughout that? Obviously, it was a difficult time, and like a lot of times it's difficult to see the positive or the bright road at the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. But like, what was your mindset? Like, how did you power through that?
My theory and my thing has always been you have to be grateful for what you have. So I had the ability to work. So go do the work, get her done, make sure my kids are fed and a roof's over their head and, they're getting what they need. And you just keep powering on and getting it done. I don't know, there's no specialness to
it. Well, I think it's your mindset. I think it's your guys' perspective. And that's something that certainly has rubbed off on me. And I'm super grateful for. Like, I'm super grateful that we went through a lot of those trials and tribulations and continue going through a lot of them, because it truly teaches you work ethic, and it teaches you how to be grateful for every single thing that you have. I remember there were times we were grateful to have you've gone through it your entire life, like even back in Hawaii when gallons of milk cost like $6 a gallon. Like, you guys were scrapping up pennies and nickels to try and make ends meet. And so it really truly makes you appreciate the small, quote unquote, small things for what they truly are. So I wanted you to know how much that's been an influence on me, and you and Dad now living here has been a game changer for me. You've helped me more than you'll ever know. And on top of that, it's been amazing to watch you guys like grow. We go out to eat all the time, and sometimes too much. But it's just been amazing to finally be in a position where like it's good, and we're grateful, and things are panning out. But I think a lot of people will resonate with that and might be going through challenging times, because I've talked about this a lot because it's something that's made a big impact on my life. And so I've talked about it a lot, and there's people that are going through trying times and they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But you're a perfect example of like, hey, you're CMO, Chief Mom Officer. And
you too can have this job.
And you just like, I think everyone here can vouch for it. Like, you just brighten everyone's day. Even people would never know there's something bad or something that could be not very good going on, and you still come to work and you're a bright light and you're positive.
Thank you. But you have to be, though, because if you dwell on the negative, everything is just going to seem very negative at all times. So go with the positive, and go with the fact that you got up that morning and you got out of bed and you were able to start your day versus, I don't know. That's just hard. You just got to go. Just do it.
You can tell she's my mom because we have the same perspective. I love it. I completely agree. And that's, thank you for teaching me that. I love you.
I love you more.
I want to switch gears and go into our last segment because we talked a lot about my life growing up. We talked a lot about your life and trials and tribulations you've overcome, and how much that's impacted me. And I think I'm forever grateful for that. And hopefully we'll one day be able to pass it on to my kids and your grandchildren, which is actually a question that might come up here. But one of the things we want to do was poll the community. So a lot of people that listen to the show, like, they all know you're my hero and how much you mean to me. And so I let them ask questions.
Oh boy!
And I didn't warn her before these questions, but these are community questions. And so one of the things we have a list of about 8 or 9 questions that the team went through. Some of them we weren't asking, but these are some really good questions.
I'm not going to set you up with my son. I do encourage him to swipe right, but
jeez. Wow. All right. Just breaking the ice early. No. So let's go through these. And I'm actually curious to hear your answer on a lot of these. One of the first questions, because a lot of people have heard me talk about like my journey with baseball in college. When I was a junior, I stopped playing baseball and fully went and started doing research with Jacob. What was your thought at that time? Like, were you worried? Were you upset? Like, were you like, what the heck is this kid doing? Like, why is he leaving baseball to go do this random research stuff?
Well, no, because you explained it well. I didn't have that reservation because we had met Jacob already, by then. But it was something like you always make it quite clear when you're passionate about something, you're going full steam ahead. Like you're not so I was comfortable. I was more comfortable with it than your father was.
He's a big baseball.
Because he just like, well, it's your senior year, just do it, but I understood why you were doing it, and it is you always you were a hustler. It's like you're just going to hustle. I see something to get it done. I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to do that.
I appreciate that. That's nice.
Huh.
Someone asked, at first, did you think I lost my mind when I started eating all these fats? And like, well, did you think I lost my mind? And how did it, I remember, to preface this question, you used to send me care packages in college.
Yes.
And they were the best care packages. Like, I can raffle off some of them. It was like the Easy Mac. You always used to send me the Easy Mac because I needed it in between practices. So it was just like the one you stick in the microwave and just heat up. It was like a huge bag of Swedish fish, always.
Right.
What else was it? Some
Oreo cookies.
Some Oreo cookies. A box of Oreo cookies because I used to.
Sometimes Lorna Doones.
Oh, Lorna Doones, yes, those were in there.
You would, and we found these meals that you could heat up in the microwave. Yes. Remember that? And you would try eating those.
Yeah, they were like Asian style meals, right?
Yes,
they're so good. They had like 150.
Anything
grams
that
of
didn't have to.
So carby.
So true. Anything that didn't have to go in the fridge, basically. If we could, we tried it out. Ramen noodles.
Ramen, yeah, I did live off ramen. One time and this is when I knew you truly loved me, is that one time you sent down pizza from my favorite.
I drove it down to you.
No, you did drive it down to me on ice.
Yep.
It was my favorite pizza. Mm-hmm. It was barbecue bacon ranch.
Yep.
Thick crust from my favorite pizzeria in New Jersey, and you drove it down to me. Mm-hmm. That's when I knew.
She really does love me. We loaded a cooler up with all those little individual pizzas, and
I might need to do that again soon. No, but what were your thoughts really when I first started? And I was like, you know what, I'm doing this thing. It's like low carb. Were you like, this kid's out of his mind? There's no way my son's doing low carb.
I didn't understand it at first because your eating habits weren't the greatest, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, how's this going to actually work out? Because all you did was eat macaroni and cheese, and so. But then the more you explained it, and it kind of made sense. Like, you're like, yeah, you can eat the bacon and eggs, just don't eat the toast and the hash browns with it, type of thing. Like, you kept it simple and you explained it in a manner that we understood, And so, I still didn't think you were getting enough nutrition.
You're worried about it.
I was. But then, as time went on, I said, okay. He's growing, so that's fine.
That's awesome. We talked about this a little bit. Someone said, are you actually in ketosis with your diet, or is it more of a low-carb, moderate-fat, moderate protein? Basically, you're probably more the latter. I think you hit the nail on the head. You're more modified. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I talk about this a lot when I talk about your case or situation is because you can't handle too high of fats.
No.
So, you've had times. Are you playing with?
I am. He's
That's a different question. That's a different question.
He wants to get up here. Can I bring him up?
Yeah, bring him up. Scoot. This is our grandson. Oh gosh, there you go. All right. You've had times where you've had too much fat.
Yes.
And it hurt your tummy.
Yes.
So you're more like moderate fat, moderate protein, just low carb, but you fast so long that you're still in a state of ketosis,
right?
And occasionally you'll have a sweet potato fry or a nacho, but it's like when most people say oh, you have a cheat meal, for me, if I were to have a cheat meal that's like sweet potato or nachos, it's like an entire plate. You're like, oh, I'm good with one. I wish I had that, but yeah, I think that hopefully clarifies it for some people, and knock on wood, the Crohn's has been at bay.
Yes.
And I'm super thankful and appreciative of that. Someone said, this is a nice question. Did she imagine her son would help so many people on a global scale? Did you think I would ever be able to do that?
I did not, but extremely proud of the fact that you do. And, even this little guy, you help him. But yeah, extremely proud of that fact that.
What did you think I was going to do when I was younger?
When you were younger,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it had to be sports. There wasn't a sport you didn't play. You know, so I figured somehow or another you're going into some form of sports, something, you know, because you just loved it so much and you just had the energy for it. So.
That's awesome. Someone asked, does she ever give you a hard time about not being married yet or giving her grandkids?
No, because now I have a grandpup. So
that's true. And I want to talk. Someone asked about him as well. But you give me you jokingly, but seriously.
No, was that like passive aggressive? No. Would I want to see you with someone? You know, yes, obviously, because, you know, I want you to be happy in that aspect, you know, but I also know that right now this is your focus, you know, that you're 100% committed, you know, to doing this. So within the next 5 years, I give you, well, maybe 4, because we said 5 a year ago. So.
All right, time's ticking. So a follow-up to that, someone asked, what would you want to see in a woman for your son?
Probably somebody as, I don't want to say motivated as you, because I don't know if that would be a good thing. But somebody somebody definitely caring and, you know, compassionate like you. But obviously the bottom line is she's got to like me more.
Okay. I got it.
That's it, you know?
Noted.
Yeah.
Noted. So everyone out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Someone asked, how does she have all the answers?
I don't.
You do?
I don't.
You do.
Sometimes I wing it. You know, but yeah, I don't. Nobody has all the answers.
How do you maintain what is that persona like? Like everyone I feel like that meets you so attracted to you, like they feel comfortable around you. Like it's like, even this guy, they feel comfortable around you being like, I can tell her anything. I've always felt that way. But you guys put me in a position like that where it was like when I was growing up, like I never felt, I mean, I was awkward. I was an awkward kid. I probably still am awkward. But I never felt uncomfortable having conversation. I still, now you're like, sometimes you tell me too much.
Yeah, pump the brakes a little.
Pump the brakes. But how do you, like, what's your kind of concept around that?
People just want to be heard. You know, just listen to them. Just, you know, I mean, that's all there is to it, in the sense that you just have to care, and I care about people. Like I don't want to see anybody hurting. I don't want to see I don't want to see anybody sad or fighting a battle that they don't need to fight. You know, just go through, enjoy your life, because and that only comes from, you know, 50 something years of saying you know, just enjoy. Just sit back and enjoy. And don't let it, don't, if you're going down, don't. Because it's just not worth it. Just say, you know what? No, I'm better than this. I'm better than that. And just rise up.
Love it. 2 more questions. If you could change like one habit or one thing that you have in your life right now, what would it be?
Nothing. I'm talking about that.
the people want to know.
A habit that I have? I don't know, Scoot. What do you think?
I think I know one.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss it though.
Would it be smoking?
Maybe.
We'll work on that.
Okay.
Next time we have you on the podcast. So the reason she doesn't want to talk, my mom's she doesn't like talking about it, but
because not everybody knows my bad habits. Now they do.
Now they do. But how long have you been smoking?
Too long.
20, 27, 8, 9 years, 30 years maybe. But yeah, I mean, we're working on it. Mm-hmm. You do smoke less. Mm-hmm. You do smoke less. It's one of the. How hard have I tried to get you to stop smoking? Oh, can you tell us some techniques? So what have I done?
I've gotten Christmas gifts of, I forgot what it was called.
That was like 5, 6 years ago when like e-cigarettes were just coming out.
Yep, I got that as a Christmas gift one year, and then one year I got the Nicoderm patches.
Oh yeah, I did do those as well. We reboxed the unopened e-cigarette, and that's probably been a gift for the last 5 years.
5 years, yes.
The same one from 6 years ago.
Which I'm afraid to use on the counter. It might blow up now.
Yeah, no, don't use it now. But yeah, we'll figure out a strategy. One of the things I talked about, now there's going to be accountability because there's people listening to this and people watching this. But one of the biggest
I didn't get here without a lot of people judging me.
No, it's not about that. One of the things I did that I think encourage you to smoke less, and I still feel this way to this day, is I want to make sure that you're around when I do have kids one day. Not for a baby. You say that, but I want to make sure you're around because I know how much of an impact you've had on my life, and I wouldn't want, I know how much you can mean for my children, and you would be the best grandmom ever.
Oh, thank you.
And so, you know that the habit that you have takes away from that. So
sure.
I'd love for one day my kids to be able to run around with grandma, and I know you're like, I could do that. I promise. That's the stubbornness.
All right, so maybe I should start taking the applications now for the grandbaby mommies.
No, we're not pushing it faster. We're cutting the smoking. Okay. We're cutting the smoking. So we'll work on that. Is that a promise?
Yes, it is. I promise.
Thank you. Last one. And it's relevant because he's staring at me right now as I ask this question. You're the cutest little guy I've ever seen in my life. Oh my gosh. How has your life changed since getting Scooter?
I have a doggy to take care of. How does it not change?
Did it fill a void of did it buy me some time? Let's start with that one. Did it buy me some time for a kid?
Yes, it did. But you have to look at him and just, look at what now everybody sees, obviously, he is missing his front paw, but he also has an issue with his back paw. But it doesn't stop him. And he's 5 years old, and he still is he was just trying to jump up here. So how could I not try and pick him up, but yeah, I don't know. He's just a cuddle buddy.
He's so stinky. You're being so good too during this whole podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's been. I did an entire episode on how much it's changed my life and really allowed me to understand patience. But truly, he's a sign of overcoming adversity.
Oh God, yeah.
And I'm excited for him to be around one day to be around my kids and you and our entire family because he's a blessing.
Yeah, he is.
He really
is. He's special like that.
Well, I really hope a lot of people took away a ton from this podcast. And I know you were super nervous. You're like, no, I don't want to do this. But you did amazing.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone can sense the amount of love and gratitude I have for you, Dad, Stephen, the entire family for being who you are and raising me the way you did. Because when I say you truly are my hero, I mean that. But
it goes both ways because you make me just as proud every day.
Well, thank you. And I learned a ton from you and continue to learn a ton from you every day, just overcoming adversity and everything you've taught me. So I appreciate you to the moon and back, and I love you to the moon and back, and you're the best mommy I've ever had.
Thanks. I'm the only mommy you've ever had. Only one you're getting, pal.
I love you, Mama.
Love you, baby.
I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you could, go to iTunes, leave a review, let us know what you thought, let us know other guests you'd love to see on the podcast. I hope you guys love and appreciate Mama as much as I do. She's the best woman in the entire world. And with that being said, hope you guys have an amazing weekend. We'll talk to you next week.